Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. 5 midfielders Manchester United could, should and maybe will sign in January. I'm not going to sign 5, but the top 5 I really think that United should be looking at. And, realistically, I think, as we were saying last night, reality bites. We can talk about signing players. The midfield is where we need to focus on. 100%, we are way too short there. And what is available in January if we are aggressive and ruthless enough. We'll also be talking about general transfer news. This show was meant to go out on Wednesday, but obviously with Mourinho and Pochettino, we've put it back till Saturday. Weekly transfer show all the way through until January when it will be transfer daily. But look, you'll be looking at that player on the left and you'll be going, who the hell is Florian Grillitsch? I've probably even got his name wrong. But this is what I talk about. Brexit means Brexit with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Or does it? Or does it? Is there another referendum? You see what I've just done there? Can we look at Europe? Is it an open market with Europe? Can we bring European players in, or are we just going to stay Brexit FC? Purposely bringing in Florian Grillitsch, and we will be talking about Haaland and Richarlison rumours, which are very interesting. But Florian Grillitsch, you've probably not really heard of him. Currently playing in Hoffenheim. And I think he's actually Austrian. I think he plays for Austria. And at 24 years of age, you'd say, oh, he doesn't fit what we want. We want British, and we want 21, 22, 19. That's what we want. Well, no, he is a very good player who I think is ready for that step up. And I think United would probably get him for about £35 million. Now, we're not linked to a player like this at all, but this is the sort of thing you, as football fans of the world really now, understand that Europe is a small place and the Bundesliga isn't that far away from the Premier League, and there are good players that you can pick up comparatively to, let's say, if Manchester United want to go and sign a Sean Longstaff for 50, you get this lad for £15 million less, and he's got a far bigger pedigree. What sort of player is he? Well, look, to be honest with you, there are similarities there to sort of a Michael Carrick. He likes to tackle, reads a game well, conducts the midfield, CDM, and that's what I'm looking for. So he is a player that, look, if United are going to ever look away from Brexit and start looking into Europe, there are players out there. I've done a little bit of homework, I've done a little bit of research, and I've brought a couple of players in that I think that United should be looking at, because I'm not a scout for Manchester United, as of you are not either. But this sort of a player would be an interesting player to bring in, and I think that I don't understand why we close our door to European talent. There are some really good players out there, and it's been proven. Look at Manchester City. They've brought players in like Silva, De Bruyne. I know he played at Chelsea before, but he was in the Bundesliga doing very well. Rodri from Spain. These players will come in and instantly make an impact if they are the right sort of player. I think he's a very interesting player to look at. The second player I really like, and a lot of you've mentioned before, is Denis Zakaria. Currently playing for Mönchengladbach, who are doing very well. Now, his agent has said 100% no chance he's going to move in January, but I don't really believe in that sort of stuff if you're aggressive enough. He's playing for Borussia Mönchengladbach. He is going to be sought after. Tottenham, Liverpool, we're tentatively linked to him. I'd say there's a 10-1 chance we'd bring him in, but I think he would go for about £35 million. His contract is up in 2022, so it's not a massively long contract. Mönchengladbach, they're not the powerhouse of European football. I think £35 million does the job. And yet again, if you were talking about a Sean Longstaff, you're going to have to pay £15 million for that, more for a player like that, just because he's got a British passport. He's only played a handful of games. This lad, he's got the potential to be an absolute midfield powerhouse. He could go Real Madrid, he could go Man City, he could go Liverpool, he could go PSG, he could go Juventus, and be one of the best midfielders in the world in the next couple of years' time. He's 23, so he's not 19 again. But this is the sort of player United should be looking at. And I don't like the word beast mode. He's a midfield beast because he's so strong. He's so powerful. I've said strong and powerful. Technically very good. Back and forth, tenacious, good in the tackle. The stereotypical sort of mix between a Verratti, a Kante, a De Bruyne, that sort of a player. He can go forward, but he plays CDM a lot, and this is again what Manchester United need. And I think this is the sort of player that would excite Manchester United fans as well. I don't think you're going to get that excited by a Sean Longstaff, but I think you would get very excited by a Denis Zakaria. And a lot of you probably don't know who he is. A lot of you probably know more about him than I do. But he is a player that's been mentioned by a lot of you lot. He's a player that I've sort of looked at over the last few weeks. And I think, you know what? This is what our scouting network should be looking at. Why are we not looking at players like this? Exactly what we need. and comes in with that hunger to step up as well. It shouldn't just be Brexit. So there's two players there in Grillitsch and Zakaria that I think are low-key players that would come into our club much the same as Wan-Bissaka's come in, much the same as Harry Maguire's come in. They're the same sort of player that would see United as a step up and a chance to improve themselves and prove themselves. The only difference is they're playing in Germany and not in the Premier League. So, and the good side of that is that they would be cheaper as well. So I really like the look of this lad. I really, really do. Smash a like on the video, by the way, if you're liking it. Third option 3 of 5. And what I've really tried to do here is look at a mixture of two players there that I think we should be looking at, Grillitsch and Zakaria. I think they're very good options for our midfield, and they're very realistic in January if we choose to do that and move away from Brexit. The British passport thing. But realistically, what might we look at? We need to sign midfielders in January, and you've got to look at what's available. And yeah, I'd love to sign Kante. I'd love to sign Verratti. It's never going to happen. You've got to look at what's realistic and what is available. And I think we've spoken about Emre Can. I didn't want to bring Emre Can in again because we spoke about him last week. He is a possibility, and I would definitely consider him. But I think you've got to throw Sean Longstaff into the mix. And to be honest with you, this is a player I didn't know much about. In the summer, we got heavily linked to him. I think we really wanted him. So I've taken more focus of him this season. He's not played that much. He's had injuries, had suspension. He did play against us and his brother played better. I don't get what Sean Longstaff's all about. 22 years of age, British passport. He has got potential. I can see that. He does remind me a little bit of Carrick and Lampard, the main way he moves around. I know they were two very different players, but I think Longstaff isn't Carrick and he isn't Lampard. But I haven't seen enough of him to make me think why we would want to spend even 25 million on him. But you've got to throw him into the equation because United really want to get him. And I think he is just one of those players that in the summer I was quite curious about signing, but now I'm quite concerned about signing because I'm like, if we sign a player like that, he's not ready. He's clearly not ready. He's not pulling up trees for Newcastle, so he's not ready to drop into our team and make us top 4. I personally think stick with McTominay and Garner, but I think you've got to throw him in there quite simply because he is a player that United have been heavily linked with before. Which brings us on to Declan Rice, and I think that this United are definitely interested in Declan Rice. He's got a British passport, but in seriousness, we are heavily linked to Declan Rice, and I think West Ham will look to cash in on a player like him at some point. Whether it would be January, some would say no, but then I would think, well, why not? £55 million. He's not having the best of seasons. West Ham might flinch if we put an offer in. I personally do not rate Declan Rice, not to the extent of Roy Keane dislikes him, but I certainly don't see enough in him. I don't really see a lot of difference between Declan Rice and Sean Longstaff. I don't see them being good enough for what Manchester United need in January. For me, they're just another McTominay, they're just another James Garner. That we've already got that type of player that we will be patient with. They are going to hopefully get better and better. But we need for now. We need players for now in that midfield. We don't need another potential player that might not make it, but if they do, it's going to take some time. And I think with Rice and Longstaff, you get players that are expensive, but also they're not. We're going to be going, give them time. And we've got to stop that. You know, there's enough of give him time. Give him time. We need players for now, so that the players that need time can do so with players that are ready for now. We can't have a team full of give it time. We've got to have some, they're ready for now. And I don't think Declan Rice is, and I don't think Sean Longstaff is, and I don't think they're actually ready anyway. But I think that they are players that United are probably looking at. You know, I would put good money on the fact that United are far closer to getting a Longstaff and a Rice than they are to getting a Grillitsch and a Zakaria. But Grillitsch is 24, Zakaria is 23, and I think that they are far better players to bring into our team right now than Rice and Longstaff are. But, you know, that's number 4. And number 5, look, I throw it in. I always throw it in. People are going, oh, not again. The ship has sailed, and it has. But I always throw Bruno Fernandes in because you know what? We probably will not do anything about it, but he is available right now. That deal is there to be done. £60 million to Sporting Lisbon, and he signs. It's as simple as that. We probably won't get him. He probably will go to Tottenham. He might even go to Real Madrid. There is high interest from them. But at 25 years of age, centre midfielder, yes, he's got more attacking element, but we do need that as well. And he is somebody who can drop into the midfield and be box to box if you want Fred and McTominay to sit. So, look, Bruno Fernandes to me, I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I don't see how he cannot be one of the 5 options in the midfield in January, when he is probably one of the most gettable players in January, and he's also probably one of the best pedigree players in January. Goals and assists coming out of him like nothing, and I think he would be a very, very good option for Manchester United. But look, I hope that we do start looking at people like Zakaria and Grillitsch as opposed to Longstaff and Rice. The headline signing would be Bruno Fernandes. We don't seem to want to do that. If it's Emre Can, I'll be happy with Emre Can, because he's a relatively cheap player in his mid-20s with a lot of experience, who's played in the Premier League and knows what he's doing, and would definitely improve our midfield. So I really hope that the midfielder that we go for in January is an Emre Can, is a Zakaria, is a Grillitsch over a Longstaff or a Declan Rice. I really do. They'll be cheaper and they'll be better. Fernandes is a dream signing. I don't necessarily think it's going to happen. But get your comments in below. Have I missed somebody out? And I don't think Thomas Partey comes in January. I'd like him, but no, I don't. You got to look at the club. I don't think John McGinn comes in January. You got to look at their clubs that they are and whether they want to sell. James Maddison again. I think I've looked at players that I think are gettable. They're not easy, but they are gettable. Get your top 5 in below. Give us your thoughts. Make sure you smash a like on the video. On other news, look, do I think that Erling Haaland can happen in January? I would say probably 30% chance, which I think in January you're not dealing in high percentage chances anyway. January signings have an element of surprise anyway, because it's not easy to do business. So I think anybody saying we're not going to do Haaland because there's only a 30% chance of it happening, I think that most signings you do in January are not like the summer, so there's not like a high chance. So yeah, Erling Haaland could happen. I think United, as I've said before, Rayola's a problem. He gets involved in that deal. But the Richarlison thing's quite interesting. When I look at Richarlison, it's the second time I've seen United linked to Richarlison in the last sort of few weeks, and it surprises me because he is a forward. He can play in any of those 3 positions, and to be honest with you, I think he's around his mid-20s. He is Premier League proven. Obviously, he's been at Watford and at Everton. Has he got a step up in him? I don't know. I don't know whether he's got the ability to play as a top 4 player. But he, in fairness to Richarlison, I instantly dismissed it and went paper talk. But then I thought, he is the sort of player that would be probably agreeable to a lot of you, because when people talk about Haaland or Ronaldo's or Sancho's, it's like, oh, it's going to stunt inward. Martial will get moved from up front. I think with Richarlison, you get a player in that would know their place and be a valuable player if it worked out. I don't think Richarlison would demand to be starting games. He might force his way into starting games. He'd certainly be an option if you had an injury to Martial or Rashford or Dan James. So I think Richarlison would be interesting. My only thing about him is he's only been at Everton for 18 months. They spent quite good money on him. I think they spent like 40 to 50 million on him. So are Everton going to want to lose a player that's considered to be one of their best players just to get their money back? I think they would be looking at 70 million north. And I don't think United, really, Richarlison for 70 million, you don't get enough for your money. Haaland, you're going to get one of the best up-and-coming strikers in the world, potentially. Same with Sancho. But with Richarlison, you're bringing a player in that probably won't go straight into your first team. You'd have to work his way in, but you're going to pay the same money you paid for Lukaku. So I don't see Richarlison, to be honest with you. I don't know what your thoughts are. Get your comments in below, by the way. Please do smash a like on the video. It's just a quick transfer weekly. Smash a like on the video, as I said. Get your comments in below. Top 5 midfielders that United should, could, and maybe are looking at in January. I think I have provided an interesting mix there. We need a midfielder in January. Who is it going to be? For me, I still think Emre Can is the most obvious one, but I think we've provided 5 options there. Tell us about yours. Thanks everyone for watching, and remember, if you want to get your United Stand jumpers for Christmas, the link's in the video description. We've got this, we've got the Adored, we've got the Class of 92, and we've got the 5 Cantonars, which is doing very well. So get yours for your Christmas party, Christmas Day, just for Christmas. Thanks for watching. Speak to you all soon.